Good evening. Welcome to the 2023 National EmPowered to Serve Business Accelerator. I'm Nancy Brown, CEO of the American Heart Association. At the American Heart Association, we firmly believe that every person deserves the opportunity to live a full and healthy life. Research continues to show that health disparities disproportionately affect more Black, Hispanic, and Native American communities and people in rural areas. That's why we are committed to address social determinants of health, rural health challenges, and systemic racism. We are transforming communities to improve access to healthy foods, education, housing, and advocating for policies that open doors to economic opportunities. Ensuring access to quality health care is also a bold step to prioritize heart health across the nation. Now in our 7th year, the EmPowered to Serve Business Accelerator is delivering on this commitment by partnering with changemakers who inspire solutions across the nation. Tonight, we honor this impressive slate of community entrepreneurs and recognize our EmPowered Accelerator alumni. They are relentless in transforming communities across America. It is now my privilege to introduce you to our host for this evening, comedian, mother, wife, and woman extraordinaire, Chantaquillette Carter-Williams. Chantaquillette has always been passionate about women's wellness. In 2018, she had a heart attack. Then 1 year later, she had a stroke. After spending 2 years in rehabilitation, she founded Girl Be Natural to improve women's lives. She uses comedy to share her story across the country and is a fierce advocate for the American Heart Association. Chantaquillette, thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you, Nancy, and good evening. Welcome to the 7th Annual National EmPowered to Serve Business Accelerator finale. I'm your MC, Chantaquillette Carter-Williams, joining you live from Dallas, Texas. We are grateful that you are here with us as we recognize outstanding individuals making a difference in their communities and across the country. For nearly 100 years, the American Heart Association has worked to dismantle barriers to health services, housing, fresh foods, clean water, and safe spaces for physical activity. These barriers largely impact people of color, whether they live in urban or rural areas. And the path forward requires our commitment to transform communities from the inside out. And that is just what tonight's finalists are doing. Black, Hispanic, Latino, and Indigenous populations have had higher rates of cardiovascular diseases, stroke, diabetes, and chronic conditions. And the EmPowered to Serve Business Accelerator is just one of the many ways the association is affirming its commitment to making sure everyone lives a longer, healthier life. Another way the association is making an impact is by working with social and tech entrepreneurs in its Innovation Academy. Now celebrating its first anniversary, the Innovation Academy is a free, unique, self-paced, interactive training course that will help entrepreneurs grow and scale their businesses for success. It provides innovators with the tools to be at the forefront of health equity and lasting change. If you or someone you know is interested in learning more about the Innovation Academy, we are sharing the link in the chat. Now, for me, supporting my heart health and working to improve the health and wellness of my community is a journey I have been on for many years. I'm 45 years old and originally from Denver, Colorado, and I now live in Dallas, Texas. I'm a wife, a mother of 7 with 4 bonus daughters and 2 grandsons, and I have heart disease. I was officially diagnosed with ASCVD in 2019 after a stroke and a heart attack at the age of 39 and 40. But I started experiencing symptoms 8 years earlier. In 2012, I was diagnosed with exercise-induced arrhythmia and told my palpitations and chest pain were stress and attributed to my job as an IRS agent. Although I owe no taxes, I would consider myself the cause of most people's stress. Not long after, I also began noticing more frequent chest pain, fatigue, and shortness of breath. I had these symptoms for almost 8 years while doctors dismissed them as stress or doing too much. In 8 years, I visited the ER almost 20 times. However, there was one time I had flu-like symptoms for almost 2 weeks, which landed me in the ER, this time being admitted and told I was having a heart attack. I was released and told my heart wasn't damaged and it was stress. 9 months later, I fabulously walked into work and collapsed before I could issue my first tax levy. It was a stroke. I spent the next 2 years in cognitive, physical, and occupational therapy, eventually diagnosed with ASCVD. I'm grateful to be alive and was able to file a few more tax liens before I retired in 2021 to become a full-time comedian, heart health advocate, and content creator. And the reason I have the opportunity to share my story with you today. I'm sure tonight's Business Accelerator finalists feel just as strongly as I do, and I can't wait to see who will walk away with a grant to take their passion and their business model to the next level. I'm sure tonight's Business Accelerator finalists feel just as strongly as I do, and I can't wait to see who will walk away with the grant and passion their business model to the next level. For 7 years, the EmPowered to Serve Business Accelerator has provided health tech and social entrepreneurs with the skills, inspiration, and guidance to build on their brand story to help grow and scale their organizations, companies, medical devices, apps, and more, to change behaviors, expand access to care and healthy food, and improve long-term health by overcoming systematic challenges. The 2023 finalists went through a rigorous 6-week curriculum where each had to identify and declare a health impact moonshot challenge and then stress test those challenges using design think principles, data-driven customer discovery analysis. And finally, they crafted compelling stories for fundraising and team building. Additionally, Minnesota hosted their local business accelerator this year, and their first place grant recipients earned a spot today in today's event. We also accepted the winner of the Delta Red Tank competition in a first ever collaboration with our strategic alliance, Delta Sigma Theta. Our Maryland market is also championing a first ever Black Farmers Accelerator culminating in February. Our thanks to everyone involved with coordinating these accelerators. While we are excited to introduce to you this year's accelerator participants, we want to highlight a little about the Business Accelerator and what has been accomplished over the past 7 years.
The American Heart Association is addressing health equity because we have seen a widening of health disparities in our country. You know, the Business Accelerator was actually started because we continued as a team to hear from communities that they had the solutions to their problems, but they lacked the ability to have capital to invest into those business solutions. The accelerator is so impactful because it allows an entrepreneur to receive capital and investment that is reflective of being by the community, that's for the community, and it spurs innovation to therefore focus on outcomes for their business concept.
I was a top awardee for the 2022 EmPowered to Serve Business Accelerator, where we were awarded $50,000. And we were also chosen as the People's Choice, where we were awarded $5,000. So My Bump Team is the first digital platform that guides first-time parents in assembling a birth team. Have on-demand education. We make sure that we provide parents with an intake quiz that really assesses their risk factors. That way we can form a bump team that they need from pregnancy through the first year of postpartum.
My job is to guide founders who are coming in with amazing product or amazing ideas that are going to have an impact on health equity and help them to see how they can take those ideas and make them bigger.
The training that they receive is invaluable. We have received feedback from numerous participants in the accelerator that said, as a result of refining their messages and harnessing their storytelling, they actually go on to receive capital from other institutions that spur them on to being a CNN hero or being featured in Forbes or being featured in Fast Company just by going through the accelerator.
When you go through this process, you're going to understand not only who you are, but why you are the one to lead.
So working with American Heart Association has been very influential to, one, my personal growth, with the accelerator being so involved and really helping me first as a person, then as an entrepreneur, and then as a business owner.
You may wonder, who is the best individual to apply for this type of opportunity? And I would say those individuals that have been working on making their communities better and wanting to remove barriers for their communities to make them better, that's the person.
That was amazing. Now let's meet our judges. Here are the 3 extraordinary innovators who will have the tough task of selecting this year's grant recipients. First, Courtney Couch got her start in LA when she started her own marketing firm, C-Lux Creative, and quickly landed national accounts like the NFL, Adidas, Puma, and Marvel. She represented A-list talent such as Travis Scott, YG, Rajon Rondo, and Moneybagg Yo. Courtney served as the director of marketing at Atlanta Records, and she also founded Crowned Lux Ventures. Courtney is currently a strategic advisor for Pathwater and the VP of marketing at Interscope Geffen Records. Our second judge, Jason Barnett, currently serves as a senior vice president with Invest Detroit, focusing on providing financing to promote small business growth and development and neighborhood retail. He is a small business subject matter expert who has been a speaker, panelist locally and nationally. Jason was recognized as a trailblazer during Black History Month by CBS and as a man of excellence by the Michigan Chronicle. He serves as a board member for the Detroit Community Loan Fund and as the board chair for the Michigan Certified Development Corporation, Michigan's largest SBA 504 lender. And last but not least, Kobe Takeda is the co-founder of CEO of Pear Suite, a digital health startup working to address social determinants of health by empowering community health workers. Passionate about developing the next generation of healthcare leaders, Kobe also teaches courses for both community health workers and public health students. Kobe was a Business Accelerator finalist and is now part of our Social Impact Fund. We are so grateful that these experts in their fields have been able to support the Business Accelerator with their knowledge. Thank you for your time. Now there are 12 extraordinary innovators who are here with us who will each share their business stories for a chance to be awarded grants of $50,000, $12,000, and $5,000. We're also providing $1,000 to all finalists who do not receive one of the top 3 grants. Let's get started with what we all came here to hear, the candidate business stories. Raquez Starling is the founder of Revelis, helping underserved populations become part of clinical trials. Raquez, take it away.
Hello, my name is Arcaz. I'm the founder and CEO of Revelis. I'm here today to share with you a story that's not just about a company, but about a mission that's driven by a passion for discovery, a passion for humanity, and a vision for the future. First, let me introduce you to the core of our identity, our name, Revelis. It's a word that might seem unfamiliar, even challenging to pronounce for some, but in its essence, it's universal. It means to discover, a word that encapsulates the spirit of exploration, the thrill of the unknown, the heartbeat of innovation. George Henry Lewis once said, "No man has ever made a great discovery without the exercise of the imagination. Greater even is the greatest discovery is to keep open the way to future discovery." This quote resonates deeply with me because it reflects my personal journey with discovery, a journey that begins in the most heart-wrenching of circumstances. Let me tell you how I became to discover Revelis. A few years ago, we received devastating news. My mother, who's my inspiration, was diagnosed with the rare lung disorder. The doctors told her there was no treatment, no cure, no standard of care. But we refused to accept that. We refused to give up on her. We started looking for alternatives, options, and solutions, and we stumbled upon a clinical trial that offered a promising treatment for her condition. But there was one catch. The research site was over 2,000 miles away. How do we get her there? How do we afford it? How do we make it fit into our lives? Trained as a pharmacist and working as a healthcare executive with McKesson at the time, managing a complex healthcare operation, none of that mattered at the moment. None of that could help me save my mother. I felt hopeless, I felt powerless, and I felt helpless. But then I had an idea that changed everything. What if we could bring the clinical trial to her? What if we can leverage my experience, my network, and leverage technology to make it happen? What if other underrepresented communities like my mother, who have traditionally been left out of biomedical research, could access clinical trials anywhere by anyone? This is how Revelis was born. With over 80% of the clinical trial participants predominantly as middle-aged white men, Revelis works with clinical trial sponsors and therapy innovators across multiple stages of the R&D, offering solutions tailored specifically to increase awareness and to equalize access to clinical trials. Revelis is not just a company, it's a movement. It's a movement that's aimed to democratize healthcare, to empower patients, to revolutionize research. Revelis is not just about AI technology and decentralized clinical trials. It's about reimagining access, pioneering representation, and engaging communities that have been underrepresented in biomedical research. With our groundbreaking AI-powered therapeutic learning clusters, we're not just changing the way we recruit for clinical trials, we're inviting everyone into a profound, deep relationship with discovery, what health means through the lens of their own self-interest. A relationship where learning becomes the engine of accelerating scientific research. Now, let me show you how Revelis can do for you and how it's supporting the world. Imagine being able to access cutting-edge treatments that are tailored for you and your needs and your preference. Treatments that are based on genetic profiles, your medical history, your lifestyle choices. Treatments that are delivered to your doorstep, monitored by your smartphone and supported by your community. Imagine being able to participate in groundbreaking research that advances science and medicine. Research that's ethical, transparent, and inclusive. Research that respects privacy, rewards your contributions, and empowers your voice. This is not just a dream. This is a reality that Revelis is making possible every day. In conclusion, let me invite you to join us on this journey, a journey that is not just about a company, but about a mission for all. A mission that is driven by the passion for discovery and a passion for humanity and a vision for the future. Join us because we believe science and medical discovery is the purest form for everyone. Join us because we believe discovery is a responsibility for everyone. With this grant from the American Heart Association, we hope to continue to scale our solutions to ensure that medical discoveries, new treatments, and interventions are applicable for all populations for whom they're intended. Together, we can be the first to discover a new kind of tomorrow. Thank you.
You're doing terrific work. Thank you, Arquez. Caitlin France is up next. Caitlin has developed a life-saving bracelet with a QR code. Let's hear her story.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Kate France, and I'm from Crushville, Minnesota. And while I'm the founder and CEO of Scientists Making Your Life Easier, or SMILE, LLC, I come from a town with more cows than people. And for the past decade, I've been absolutely fascinated with the medical field. And what I've learned is that there is so much that can be done. For example, medical technology is excellent down in the Twin Cities here in Minnesota, where vital resources are closer and average response time for EMS is just a couple of minutes. Yet where I come from, EMS can take over half an hour to arrive. We're losing people when timing is everything. And when witnessing medical emergencies, most people panic and call 911. 911? In a rural community? 911? The most expensive option. So, there is simple information that can help avoid the cost of time, resources, and expenses. And here at SMILE, we can fix that. So what's available for our rural patients? Well, at a minimum, there are medical alert bracelets, which can be expensive. And oh my goodness, most of these bracelets at about 2 inches by a half an inch can't display enough information to save a life. Sure, to an EMS professional, the condition listed will help, but in the middle of nowhere, amongst my cows, seeing a condition does not lead to care. Our team has taken that simple design that has been around since 1953 and brought it into the 21st century. I am here today to tell you about how we are reimagining medical technology that works anywhere, everywhere, and for everyone. I started this project as a high school student watching YouTube when I saw a medical ID advertisement where the ID contained 4 lines of text for over $100, and I thought, I can do better than that. So That's exactly what I've done. I've reimagined the medical alert bracelet. Our current designs allow anyone with a phone to scan an engraved QR code and instantly see a simple text file, empowering practically anyone to provide critical, time-saving care. Easy enough, right? But what if we took that design further? In rural settings, internet access can be like my cows, spotty at best. So we're exploring using peer-to-peer Bluetooth technology in two ways: to ensure that information is ready practically anywhere, and to give family and friends discreet and creative pieces of technology that can be carried in a wallet or worn as a charm on a bracelet. Then, when someone is close to a person in distress, information is instantly available for them to use. The possibilities of this product are practically limitless, and that's what's so exciting about our technology. At a minimum, our medical alert bracelets provide reliable, accessible, and easy to understand content. But beyond that, our product will be a powerful collector of data that provides critical insights into ways to improve rural emergency triaging and care. Smile truly understands the rural community and can connect to our rural customers in ways that no one else has yet to achieve. We get what it's like to have mistrust in the medical community, which is why our grassroots mission of neighbors helping neighbors is so vital to making our product effective. By creating a network of support through our simple scan and go, Bluetooth-enabled system, we have created a product that, as long as you have a smartphone with a camera, you have the answers to one of the most complex and confusing questions: how can I help someone in a medical emergency? Finally, I want to wrap this up by thanking everyone for supporting me and giving me this voice and platform to speak about something I have been working towards since high school. Smile is willing and ready to make medical technology accessible to rural communities and to make sustainable impacts to those that need it most. And through this grant, through the American Heart Association, that is exactly what we are going to achieve. My name is Kate France, and with Medical Alert Bracelet Technology, help is only one scan away. Thank you.
Wow, what a concept, Caitlin. Thank you. Ray Chung with Smart Air LA is up next. Ray developed an interactive chat box powered by IA that equips respiratory and cardiovascular patients to protect themselves from air pollution and better self-manage their conditions. Ray, take it away.
Hi everyone, my name is Ray Chung. I'm the founder of Smart Air LA. On June 5th, folks in Detroit, Chicago, and New York thought they were going to start the week with clear blue skies, but instead they were choking on toxic brown smog. Wildfire smoke from Canada had covered the whole Midwest and Northeast. The result, a surge in asthma attacks and hospitalizations. In New York City alone, over an 80% increase in asthma emergency room visits. The American Heart Association also issued an alert to cardiovascular patients to stay indoors and shut their windows. The reason being is wildfire smoke emits dangerous little particles called particulate matter 2.5 that when inhaled through the lungs enter the blood and the brain, triggering heart attacks and strokes. So our mission is to protect folks from breathing bad air. We are a team of climate change experts, respiratory specialists, and data analytics. And we are guided by the knowledge of community. My inspiration for this work comes from my friend Gloria and her son Ave. Gloria and Ave live in Long Beach, which is one of the most polluted areas in the country. Ave has asthma, so Gloria every day is worried if Ave is going to suffer an asthma attack. Because if Ave suffers an asthma attack, he's going to have to go to the hospital. He's going to miss school. And Gloria is going to have to take time from work. Asthma is actually the leading cause of asthma hospitalizations, school absenteeism, and school folks missing work, particularly among communities of color. So to protect Gloria and Ave and other vulnerable families, we developed a very simple solution. Use text messages powered by artificial intelligence that identifies when and where folks may be breathing bad air and sending them an alert to tell them to protect themselves. And through our text message, we also alert folks, provide them healthy breathing tips, and also check in if they're doing okay and if they need help. Through our partners with the safety net organizations, we are now providing our texts to over 2,000 asthma patients. And they have described our tool as their guardian angel, helping them to making them feel safe. So right now, we are scaling our tool with healthcare organizations to protect asthma patients throughout the country. With the American Heart Association support, we want to broaden our text to protect folks with cardiovascular disease from wildfires. Unfortunately, as we've seen in the recent events in June, the threat from wildfires is increasing from climate change as a result of increased droughts and higher temperatures. So with your support, we'll be able to protect Gloria and Ave and other families across the country and making sure that they can protect themselves and breathe safe air. Thank you.
That is so innovative. Thank you, Ray. Ashley Keys and her organization, Choices, is a parent and child resource center for clinically diagnosed and at-risk children of obesity. Let's hear from Ashley.
Hello, my name is Chef Ashley Keys. I'm the executive chef here at Choices. Choices is the acronym for the Strengths of Helping Obesity in Children and Successfully. So a little bit about my health journey. At the age of 15, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes and hypertension. And at the age of 18, I decided to have a life-changing surgery of gastric bypass surgery when I was 397 pounds. I lost over 150 pounds and I was able to go to culinary school to become a chef. I understand that children over here serve at Choices because I've walked in their shoes and I understand what their parents are going through today. My moonshot is that every zip code, food should be accessible and treated as medicine. Why? Because here at Choices, we like to make healthy choices, as you can see here. So, Choices has several programs. We are standing inside the Choices Community Teaching Kitchen, where we use this to teach our families how to make healthier dishes through our mobile pantry program. A lot of our families, we found out, lived in the deserts and had food insecurity issues. So what did we have to do? Choices had to make a way. So Choices started our mobile food pantry once a child came in and said, Chef Ashley, I don't have any groceries to learn how to make this healthy meal that we did tonight, even though it just cost them $10 to make that simple meal that we taught them that night. Well, what did we do? We partnered with the Atlantic Community Food Bank, and they helped us get access to the groceries so we could serve our families and send our families home with groceries. But we saw there was a couple of things that we had a problem with. Choices is about teaching families how to eat healthier. We couldn't do that from some of the items the Atlantic Community Food Bank was sending me. So what we have to do, we have to teach our families how to make those healthy, not so healthy choices and turn them into slow, those are woes with the National Institute of Health's weekend curriculum. So for example, you see we have some of our pantry products that we normally give our families. So you see tortilla kits, granola bars, cereal, beans, we have brown rice. But what did I choose to do? Make sure those families went home with at least 10 pounds of produce. So you see here we have some of our examples. We give them cabbage, we teach them how to make cabbage steaks. We get eggplant, we teach them how to roast it. We get zucchini and squash and cucumbers and bell pepper. And we like to show our families how to use those healthy choices to supplement what they're getting here. Also, we give our families some lean protein. So sometimes we give them some items to make sure they have a nice healthy meal for breakfast. And we also try to show them how to use these canned items and make sure they know how to rinse them properly and prepare them at their home and making them kitchen advocates so that everyone in their kitchen knows what's in their cupboards and how to use what's in their cupboards. For example, we have this lovely box of macaroni and cheese here. We need to show our families how to separate those two items and mainly use that cheese packet in the sodium to make a roasted cheesy zucchini wedge. Or you can show the families how to make a nice vegetable stir fry or pasta salad with the pasta that's in the mac and cheese. Showing them how to stretch their food and stretch their buck at the same time and still make a healthy choice. Also, we saw with our families, we need to create a place for them to have community. So we started sending out healthy choices challenges and texting them throughout the week about the programs and what we had going on, other than just our mobile pantry programs. Making sure that they're drinking their water. So we send out friendly texts saying, hey, have you had a glass of water today? Or hey, have you moved through your body for at least 30 minutes? Making sure that we build the impact with our community and make sure our neighbors are served more than just giving them a bag of food. Also with Choices, we have worked with so many great partners. We're currently working with the United States Agriculture Department, with USDA. We are also working this month with Tyler Perry Studios, making sure that the families are getting served their groceries while they are currently working, and some who are on strike. We also have been spotlighted in the past with our work during the pandemic, feeding families by Walt Disney World. I was a Disney Magic Maker. I was one of 50 with over 28,000 nominations. So I'm grateful for all the partnerships we have built. We thank you so much, American Heart, because guess what? We are creating the Make a Healthy Choices Act. So we are looking forward to making sure our families continue to communicate with us on a social media platform and making sure families can communicate and make sure that they're making healthy choices and have resources to the activities that we're doing with them. Thank you so much.
Ashley, that is truly inspiring. Thank you. Up next, we have Kwame Liddell with Nutrable. Nutrable allows organizations and individuals to pinpoint social service resources based on their location. The platform facilitates easy sign up for food, housing, health programs, and more. Kwame, take it away.
Hi, my name is Kwame Liddell, and I'm the founder and CEO of Nutrable. At Nutrable, we build AI social workers that sign families up for housing, food, transportation, utilities, and even healthcare resources. I started my career, I'm an ER nurse and a healthcare lawyer, but Nutrable started while I was working in an emergency department near Oakland, California, where we care for one of the largest unhoused populations and families that were everywhere in between. And the patient or family that came to mind, we'll call her Miss Johnson. Her and her daughter came to our emergency department, and her daughter jokingly said that it took them as long to come to the emergency department as it is for them to go to church because Mrs. Johnson would dress up no matter where she goes. They were African American mother and daughter. Miss Johnson was in her early 60s, and she came to the emergency department because she had a headache. And as soon as I met her and took her blood pressure, it was really high, and she struggled from hypertension over time. We took care of her, got her blood pressure down in the emergency department, but we had the conversation about healthy food and ways that diet can impact blood pressure. But what Mrs. Johnson's daughter told me really quickly is that all the fresh food and information we gave her was great, but she couldn't really afford it. So I knew about all these programs, and as the alarm rang that a new ambulance was coming in and I would need to move on, I was able to take a pause and send referrals to every agency that could support her. And I felt really good about that. But a few months later, I came back into the emergency department and I saw a familiar face. I saw Mrs. Johnson's daughter in the trauma room, which is where we place families who had experienced emergencies. Mrs. Johnson, although I sent all those referrals, she wasn't able to take off work to go and visit the agencies that I sent referrals to. And I had to come to terms with the reality that only 10 to 20% of all referrals that nurses and social services agencies send result in any benefits for the patients. That's when Nutrable was born. Nutrable began as an Excel file that simply navigated families to the applications that they needed to find the resources in their community. But it's evolved into a platform that automatically enrolls families in the programs that they are 80% likely to qualify for. With Nutrable, I get to tell news stories like Mrs. Williams. While Mrs. Williams was exploring Nutrable, her doctor introduced her to the platform because she experienced several chronic illnesses. While she was using our platform, the utility company came to her door and they said that if she wasn't able to pay her bill, they would have to turn it off. Through our platform in minutes, she was able to find the local social service agencies that would pay her utilities through our platform and then enrolled her and submitted her application. A week later, Mrs. Williams had her utility bill completely paid or worth $519. There are 200 million patients like Mrs. Williams and Mrs. Johnson who suffer from chronic conditions, who suffer throughout their lives and struggle to pay bills that would enable them to live full lives. But with Nutrable, we're able to support patients all over the country. We launched on June 1st, 2023, and we contracted with health plans that cover 180,000 Medicaid members in California. We also work with several medical groups, one of the largest health systems in the United States, and even churches. We built our platform so it's really easy for health plans to work with us because they're covered by already existing CPT codes. With the help of the American Heart Association, this grant will help us transform even more lives in two major ways. One, we'll be able to translate our platform into Spanish. And two, we'll be able to contract our platform with various Medicaid plans throughout California and Louisiana that cover over 15 million families. Our moonshot is to remove barriers to achieving and delivering healthcare to all. And at Nutrable, we're making it a reality. Thank you.
Wow, Kwame, that is fantastic. Now up, we have Dr. Joy Cooper with Culture Care. Culture Care is a pioneering telemedicine with Black doctors. Let's hear from Dr. Cooper.
Michelle. She's a childhood friend who slid into my DMs a few years ago on Instagram. I was in Oakland and she was in Philly, where we grew up. She sent me an ultrasound report of her heart, or an echo, and it noted that she was 38 weeks pregnant with pregnancy-induced heart failure. Black women are 1.7 times more likely to be affected by peripartum cardiomyopathy, and that is data straight from the Journal of the AHA. Michelle had shortness of breath follow her throughout her pregnancy. Her OB falsely reassured her and she sought out a cardiologist on her own. However, the cardiologist told her to keep calm with that result. Weeks after the OB told her to wait for labor, I told her to go to the hospital now. She was induced that same day. Too many Black women have experiences just like Michelle's. Do you know why? Bias. It is the secret sauce to why Black women have misdiagnoses, poor health outcomes, and even premature death. My name is Dr. Joy Cooper, and my moonshot is to infuse equity and luxury into the healthcare experience for Black women. This demographic represents some of the worst healthcare disparities throughout the country, ranging from things like breast cancer and cervical cancer to maternal health and even chronic disease. When we solve the complex problem that is Black women living healthier lives with better outcomes, we can solve it easily for any demographic. As a Harvard and Howard educated OBGYN, I'm the connect in my community for my family members and friends. But what if you don't know a Black doctor? What do you do? That is why I co-founded Culture Care, a telemedicine startup that is connecting Black women with Black doctors for second opinions. A recent study noted that counties in the U.S. with more Black physicians saw Black populations with higher life expectancies. So sure, you can Google a Black doctor, but are they in your zip code? Are they even in network? Culture Care is solving the problem of making Black doctors more ubiquitous by using telemedicine to give access to those Black doctors. The U.S. telemedicine market is $29.6 billion. Black women represent $2 billion of this market. Culture Care has drop-in appointments for the cost of a copay. And we are also building community around the physician through our group care bundles that center on a specific diagnosis or phase of pregnancy. We are on the brink of expanding across the country after serving California for the last 4 years. This grant will catapult us to the 22.5 million Black women around the United States. They are all trying to break through the bias. Our metrics of success are 10,000 encounters in 25 key states in the next year. We are the right team to deliver on this promise of fixing health disparities because we are infusing luxury with this equity. The luxury for Black women is having a product that is for us, by us. At Culture Care, we ensure that Black women feel seen and heard. It's our secret sauce to cut the bias. We don't allow diagnoses to define our patients. We help give them care to transcend those diagnoses. We are Culture Care. And this is for colored girls who consider Black physicians when Google is not enough. Thank you.
Dr. Cooper, I just want to tell you, you are doing great work. Thanks for sharing. Aren't these inspiring stories, everyone? We aren't done yet. Luciano Sewell is up next. Luciano founded Nerd, a machine learning platform that translates wearable device data into IA health. Let's hear his story.
I'm Luciano Sewell, founder and CEO of Nerd. We use biometric data to make life expectancy uniform. Our machine learning translates wearable sensor data into actionable insights for health stakeholders and the communities they serve. Prior to defining this moonshot, I thought it was enough to have a non-invasive glucose monitoring smartwatch. During the design thinking process, I realized Nerd has the ability to be so much more. We have the potential to help people in their 80s, 90s, and beyond have more vigor and vitality, regardless of what makes them genetically unique. So I rewrote our machine learning based on 2 questions. 1, what if community members never missed an important health screening? That one is personal. My mom missed every screening she needed to have to identify her colon cancer early. By the time she was properly diagnosed, she was stage 3C. The second is technical. What if health stakeholders knew exactly how to allocate resources to have the greatest impact on the communities they serve? This process didn't just re-engineer our product, it reframed our business philosophy. Now, me, my CTO, my chief medical officer, and my chief operations officer who joined because of the moonshot, we know the key is finding communities where our mission and their interests align. NERG has to be able to index the widest range of biometric data related to diabetes, regardless of what makes people genetically unique. Many people said that can't be done. They said you have to focus on specific segments, Black, Asian, etc. Respectfully, I disagree. Do you know the largest indicator of having diabetes in America is not your race, it's not your ethnicity, it's not where you live, it's not your diet. It's being a military veteran. Nearly 25% of all veterans have diabetes, 1 in 4. For context, Black Americans, the demographic most commonly associated with diabetes is at 12.7%, half. The VA spends $1.5 billion a year on diabetes. That's $375 per veteran, or less than 5% of what the American Diabetes Association says it costs to care for someone with diabetes. What if health stakeholders knew exactly how to allocate resources? A diabetic veteran is more likely to suffer from PTSD than their non-diabetic counterpart. Imagine, in the click of a button, you could use the stress patterns of a diabetic veteran as an indicator for pre-diabetes, then schedule labs for all veterans with matching biometric data. What if community members never missed an important health screening, whether they knew they needed it or not? Whether they could articulate what was going on in their bodies or not, like my mom. The question we really have to ask ourselves as innovators and health stakeholders is, if we can't solve the diabetes epidemic for a community with an integrated medical system and bipartisan legislation to increase funding for that system, how do we ever solve it for communities that don't even have uniform access to healthcare? This grant will allow us to give our smartwatch and app to 250 veterans so we can build the data sets we need to make our case with the VA and start the FDA approval process, and that is the first step to making life expectancy uniform. I'm Luciano Sewell. Regardless of the outcome of this competition, I know NERG has been empowered to serve the men and women whose service gives us the freedom to shoot for the moon. Thank you.
Thank you, Luciano. This is incredible work you're doing. Up next is Anna Lee, founder of Corian Health. She developed an electronic stethoscope and guided user interface for patients to record their heart sounds at home. Anna, you're up.
Hi, my name is Anna. I'm a joint MD PhD student at the University of Pittsburgh and Carnegie Mellon University, studying machine learning, and I'm also the CEO and founder of Corian Health. I'm here today because I met a patient 2 years ago who completely changed my life, Daryl, who had come into the ER for acute heart failure. We really bonded because he had a daughter who is my age, and I learned that as a Black man, Daryl knew very acutely about abuses that had been committed by the medical institution toward the Black community, and probably rightfully was quite wary of doctors. Heartbreakingly, his heart failure condition could have been prevented through early screenings, but when I spoke to him, I learned that he had not been to the doctor in over 20 years. The combined barriers of needing to drive 2 hours, inability to find childcare during that time, and a distrust of the system had just made the journey insurmountable. When he was finally discharged, Daryl was told to come back every month for continued monitoring, and he confessed to me that he wasn't sure if he could make it. I knew that as someone with an engineering background, I could probably build a solution for him, and that day I made a promise that if he kept coming in for his follow-ups, I would find a better solution for him as soon as possible. That promise turned into Corian Health. I want to emphasize that heart and lung disease is not a small problem. In fact, nearly half the global population will be diagnosed with one or the other at some point in their lives. The good news is that 80% of these exacerbations are preventable through early screenings. The bad news is that the majority of people still can't or don't go into the clinic to get these screenings. I started medical school in 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic, and I saw how it exacerbated existing disparities. And while telemedicine could bridge many of these gaps, the inability to reach through a computer screen and do a physical exam was severely limiting. Not to mention, I've talked to enough vaccine hesitant people that I realized how prevalent the culture of disempowerment and disillusionment is for patients going through the healthcare system. If we really want to make a genuine difference, it's critical that we create a system that meets people where they are, as opposed to vice versa. What if we could find a way to put healthcare in the palm of a patient's hand, regardless of ability to pay, language, disability, or distance? This is our moonshot. Our first step toward bringing this to reality is the Sound Heart Stethoscope. I've literally taken what we learned in cardiology class last year and digitized it so that anyone can get cardiopulmonary exam screenings from home. So what we built is this stethoscope. It is modeled off of a normal stethoscope. However, instead of earpieces coming off, there's a microphone inside so anyone can record their heart and lung sounds at home. And if you don't have a healthcare background, you can imagine you might need some guidance on exactly where to place the stethoscope. And so what we do is we have a guided interface inspired by Snapchat, hopefully I'm not dating myself, where you can use augmented reality. And so you can see on my on my phone screen, there's a red dot coming up over where the aortic valve position is. And then I'm just going to navigate the stethoscope under my shirt to the right location, and you can see that it'll start recording, and in this way it'll guide you through how to record your heart and lung sounds just like a doctor would in clinic. Once that's done, patients can send the sounds to their doctor for quick triage. And this is just the first step. The goal is to eventually build out this data collection tool into a complete machine learning based diagnostics tool, including educational tools. And why stop at a stethoscope? We can expand this paradigm to an otoscope for your ears or an ophthalmoscope for your eyes until anyone can get a complete set of health screenings at home on their own terms. Patient experience and impact are at the heart of everything we do. This is even reflected in our name, which is based off the Latin cor for heart. For the stethoscope design, which allows privacy so you can use it under your shirt, all the way to the business model where we partner with government organizations and community health partners, and even our fundraising strategy. In the early stages of our company, the vast majority of our funding has come from government grants and crowdfunding rather than VCs. Corian Health truly is an organization built by patients for patients, and the financial incentive structures within it reflect that. Thank you so much for your time and consideration, and we would love to hear from you.
Anna Lee, I have to tell you, you are doing tremendous work. Thank you for being here. Dr. Jeff Caparo is the founder of Advanced Box, an emergency kit with opioid, overdose, and hemorrhage life-saving tools. Let's hear more about Advanced Box.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jeff Caparo, co-founder and CEO of Advanced Box from Providence, Rhode Island. Sometimes you come up with a solution that, when launched in the real world, reveals a need and an opportunity for an even better solution. In 2017, our small state of Rhode Island was suffering escalating numbers of opioid overdose deaths. I asked colleagues on our state's overdose rescue work group if naloxone, the highly effective drug that restores consciousness and breathing in people overdosing on opioids, could be supplied in public access naloxone boxes. An industrial design professor and I sweated it out in her garage and driveway, drilling holes in IKEA boxes and fumbling with small fasteners to build them. I installed 60 of these naloxone boxes at community organizations serving people at high risk of overdose. Within months, we learned of our first life saved, a powerful and validating day. Requests came in from around the country. These simple boxes struck a nerve and an unmet community need for easy access to life-saving rescue tools. To date, thousands have been distributed. Great news, right? Well, it turns out there are challenges in logistics, particularly when implementing them at scale. How will these be inspected and restocked, and how will the expiration dates be tracked, and how would an owner know when and how the tools were used, and how might 911 dispatchers know where they're located? Further investigation and customer discovery work revealed that these pain points could limit adoption, sustainability, and impact. They informed the creation of an Advanced Box platform that moves public rescue from the analog to the digital. Advanced Box builds upon significant momentum in community rescue preparedness so neighbors can save more neighbors' lives. Advanced Box electronics send messages to owners that the boxes have been opened so they can restock them promptly. Owners can remotely monitor contents and expiration dates, and we place QR codes on Advanced Boxes that link passers-by to quick demonstration videos, plus multi-angle infographics inside the unit for just-in-time instruction. When owners go to the unit to resupply them, they can scan a QR code inside the box to report details of the rescue. And lastly, locations of automated defibrillators and Advanced Boxes are Google mapped, so 911 dispatchers will be able to direct callers to the nearest rescue tools. We are proud that Advanced Box is working with state and municipal departments of health to install boxes equitably in areas of greatest need using epidemiologic heat maps of overdose, local knowledge, and partnerships with community organizations committed to saving more lives. A grant from Rhode Island Commerce allowed us to build our first 30 prototypes, and we're installing them in Rhode Island, California, and New York. These are mapped with status reports, and we're happy to report we received a report of the first rescue with AdvanceBox last month. We have submitted a second Rhode Island Commerce grant and an NIH SBIR Phase 1 grant to support further product development. AdvanceBox is a scalable solution, and we're moving for national impact. The Biden-Harris administration awarded $1.5 billion to states and tribes, plus over $50 billion in opioid settlement dollars will be used over the next 2 decades to mitigate the impacts of the opioid crisis on our communities. Innovation is needed, and the public sector has both a clear mandate and an unprecedented ability to invest in innovative solutions like AdvanceBox. AdvanceBox is a platform and a service that will help neighbors save neighbors when experiencing an overdose, a condition that kills almost 1/3 the number of people dying from sudden cardiac arrest. It's time to expand and robustly support on-scene rescue for people dying from overdose. A grant from the American Heart Association will support further product development and construction and deployment of 100 additional units, executing on our roadmap to build a market-ready product for scale production, national distribution, and impact. We are thankful to the American Heart Association for the opportunity to share our work. I am Dr. Jeff Capraro, co-founder and CEO of AdvanceBox from Providence, Rhode Island. Our moonshot is that prepared communities save lives every day. Thank you.
Wow. Keep up the important work you're doing, Dr. Jeff. That is absolutely fantastic. Up next is Jake Piestener. Jake founded Circular Tech, a novel cardiothoracic drainage tube that proactively prevents retained blood complications and addresses inefficiencies related to care of chest drainage tubes.
Dr. Henry is a heart surgeon, and he's grateful to be in bed after a grueling 13-hour shift. But instead of closing his eyes, an emergency caused by a clog in this $5 medical tube sends one of his patients back into the OR for reoperation. His patient is now struggling, not from the surgery, but from undrained excess blood. This excess blood can clog a tube in a matter of minutes after surgery. In recovery, nurses will take this stiff tube, keeping in mind it's sticking out of a patient's chest, and they'll have to pinch and pull on these tubes for over the next 6 hours just to remove these clogs. Additionally, they can only see clogs outside the body. The rest of the tube is inside the body where they can't see it, so they won't know the patient is done bleeding or done draining or just the tube is clogged. My company Circular Tech has reimagined this 50-year-old cheap chest tube and created a device that will ensure reliable drainage without exception. So going back to Dr. Henry, his patient had a chest drainage tube, and it plays a critical role in a patient's recovery. The blood produced from surgical wounds must be drained from around the heart or complications will occur. So it's really not an exaggeration to say that failure of this device will be the matter of life and death for a patient. The Cleveland Clinic found that 1 in 5 of these drains and over 500,000 patients are at risk of chest tube clogs. Hospitals will spend hundreds of millions of dollars correcting complications from this device. This includes atrial fibrillation. Chest tube clogs not only impact the patients that have them, they impact all stakeholders. Complications prolong a patient's length of stay and risk their health. Failing equipment frustrates surgeons. Malpractice causes hospitals to eat $10,000 per patient and costs of complications, and even the hospital's reimbursement can be lost. For nurses, their time, energy, and attention are already being taken away by maintaining these chest tubes. On top of that, there's already a national shortage of healthcare workers that has overburdened these nurses. Our solution, ThorFlush, will ease the burden on all stakeholders. ThorFlush is a proactive surgical drain that ensures uninterrupted drainage. It takes advantage of standard IV pumps to irrigate the inside of the chest tube, thereby automatically preventing clogs and reducing the workload on nurses. This automation also eliminates unconscious bias in surgical outcomes by providing equal care in chest tube drainage management. ThorFlush also improves on patient pain. Nobody likes this hard, stiff piece of plastic sticking out of their body, which is why we made the ThorFlush out of soft, flexible silicone. Our elegant design comes in at half the cost of leading competitive products to make this device scalable to all hospitals. ThorFlush is truly a holistic solution to drainage maintenance that improves patient outcomes, restores confidence into drainage for surgeons, prevents malpractice for hospitals, and enables nurses to provide equal and efficient care. Our journey to develop this innovative technology has been marked by significant milestones. ThorFlush is patented, and the National Science Foundation awarded us a Phase 1 grant for $256,000, further validating the problem we're solving. With the NSF grant, we proved that the ThorFlush is effective and outperforms the standard of care without any milking or stripping of the chest tube. We've made great progress, but there's still a lot of work to be done. A grant from the American Heart Association will help us further our research and development, expand our IP, and get us across the finish line through FDA clearance. My name is Jake Pastiner, the founder of Circulotech. We've reimagined this rigid 50-year-old chest tube causing complications for surgeons, patients, and nurses, and created the ThorFlush, a device that will guarantee reliable drainage without exception.
This is very impressive, Jake. Thank you for sharing with us. Next up is Shivani Fernando. She's the founder of OxyWear. Let's hear about her wearable ear device to help detect hypoxia.
In July 2017, I was working at Georgetown University for my summer job. Suddenly, my friend started to scream that my face was entirely blue. Yes, my whole face went blue, my heart stopped, and I couldn't breathe. Clinically, I was dead even though I was barely breathing. Luckily, I hit my chest on my own and revived myself before I passed out. And all this happened because the oxygen levels in my blood went too low. I have a condition called silent hypoxia due to my pulmonary hypertension, which is one of the most deadliest injuries anyone can have. Low oxygen supply in my blood can end me up with a cardiac arrest, a stroke, and even death. And even if we survive, due to that few minutes of oxygen deprivation, we can damage our vital organs, especially our brain and the lungs. So this is why it's extremely important for you to know what your numbers are. To date, I have had 4 cardiac arrests and 3 strokes, and I'm still alive because I keep monitoring my blood oxygen levels. Monitoring is just one part, but monitoring and alerting your low oxygen levels needs to happen at the same time. The sooner I can access my oxygen, the likelihood of preventing a cardiac arrest is very high. So I created OxyWear. It's revolutionizing the pulse oxy industry because it's the first wearable to give you a timely alert the second your oxygen levels start to drop. Around 50 million patients being admitted to hospital at least twice a year due to hypoxic incidents, just like me. 20 to 30% of mountain travelers ends up in the ER due to hypoxia, also known as mountain sickness. And in addition to this, high altitude trekkers, 7% die every year due to brain and lung injuries due to severe hypoxic injuries. And every time someone goes to the hospital because of hypoxia, it costs $40,000 to the system due to not having data for them to diagnose. When you experience a cardiac arrest, you have oxygen just for 2 minutes until you pass out. And that's not enough time for you to call 911. So this is why it's crucially for you to get a timely alert when your numbers drop. The finger, earlobe, and the forehead is known as the most accurate places for blood oxygen monitoring. But to date, that's why all the wearables, though they measure oxygen, they are not considered medical grade and FDA approved. And the FDA approved devices are too bulky for you to wear during your day-to-day activities. But with OxyWear, we real-time monitor your numbers and gives you an alert the second your numbers drop. And not just that, we send the emergency text alert to your contacts so you receive the help you need in time before it's too late. And with 10% of chronic patients around the world having hypoxia similar to me, it's a $400 billion global market. But even if you address just those in the US, it's still a $20 billion market. Our device is already changing people's lives. We have people who has messages saying they were able to get on a flight and go on a family trip, who goes to Yankees games and who's living life confidently. Altitude trekkers at Everest were able to get the help they need in time. We have 60 patents issued, FCC approved for global sales and clinically tested, and we are submitting for FDA end of this month. We work with top hospitals like Johns Hopkins and UPenn, and we have submitted Mount Everest and Apex uses it for Tour de France training for endurance athletes. When you're working to get this mission out, and this grant will help us to help people to save lives and prevent hypoxic attacks. Thank you.
Shivani, wow, that's some innovative work you're doing. Last but not least, let's welcome Ariana McGee with Navigate Maternity. Let's hear how her software connects with wearables for real-time maternal data.
Navigate Maternity is a tech-enabled medical device company. Our flagship product is our remote patient monitoring system that enables care teams with the data they need to manage prenatal and postpartum moms. We capture validated blood pressure to manage hypertension, weight fluctuations to signal issues around cardiovascular health, as well as mental and social determinants of health scoring. That way, we can understand a mother's environment. Does she have access to healthy food? Does she have access to safe housing? All of these things affect the outcomes. And all of this data pulses back to the physicians and the care team responsible for mother's care so that they can intervene before a catastrophic event takes place. And this is a problem we have to solve now. The US has the highest maternal death rate of any high-resource nation in the world. So we've got to solve it now, and that's why our moonshot is simply this. A mother's prenatal and postpartum journey must not be dangerous. When I was a little girl, my mom used to tell me the story of my birth, and I used to love it. She would talk about her first contraction, when her water broke, and the joy she felt the first time she saw my face. She even told me about how my grandmother left her wallet at the payphone because she was so excited. And it was that excitement that inspired my husband and I to have 4 babies. And yes, you heard that right. We have 4 babies. They are 5, 4, 2, and 1. But it was my experience with my 4th child that was different because I almost died. So because of my prior C-sections, my doctor explained that I was at high risk for uterine rupture. She explained that because of that old incision scar, if I went into labor, then my uterus would contract and twist and it could burst wide open at that scar. And that if that happened, then the placenta would detach from the uterine wall and the fluid would seep into my stomach and baby and I could die. And so fast forward to 38 weeks. We're all on baby watch. My husband is away finishing up his spine training. My mother is with me right by my side and I go into labor. I wake up at 2 a.m. with a really bad headache and those contractions are starting to come. So my mother and I rush to the hospital, but we encounter a very tired on-call doctor who tries to send me home. And despite us pleading with her, despite me trying to talk to her, she would not listen. And it took my mother to advocate on my behalf. And thank goodness, because when my mother pushed her hand and she called my doctor and my doctor rushed in, took me back to that operating room, they opened me up. They uncovered I had a uterine window so large you could see my daughter's hair. I was hours away from full rupture. And it was in that moment that I knew that I would dedicate my life and Navigate's mission to saving mothers and babies. So the things that set Navigate apart are, number one, we're solving a huge problem. We have to solve our maternal health crisis now. And this is a $25 billion problem that we are solving for. Number two, our team. So our team, we have over 35 years of combined experience within obstetrics, managed care and health operations, and medical device leadership. Number three, reimbursement. So we thought not only of our innovation, but how we make our innovation accessible and scalable. And that's my background. I actually headed U.S. market access at what is now the 4th largest medical device company in the world. And lastly, we secured a large partnership with the global EHR company so that the data on our platform integrates seamlessly into big systems like Epic as well as Cerner. So currently we're in a pilot with the University of Louisville, Humana, and the state of Kentucky to bring our innovation to Black, brown, and rural mothers within that area. $50,000 would allow us to even scale faster and bring our innovation to more mothers. So this is my ask. This is my call to action. Can I count on you to join us in the fight to end the maternal health crisis? Thank you.
What an inspiring way to wrap up our candidate presentations. Thank you, Ariana. And thank you to everyone for sharing your stories with us. Listen, I am glad I'm not a judge. I don't think I could decide whose business model deserves a grant the most. While we give our judges time to deliberate, I'd like to pass the mic over to Pamela Garman Johnson, the American Heart Association's National Vice President of Health Equity and Partnerships Portfolio Management, who is with our special guest, Monique Rodriguez, founder of Miel Organics.
I am Pamela Garment Johnson, National Vice President of Health Equity and Partnerships for the American Heart Association, and I am just excited to interview our special guest today, Monique Rodriguez, founder of Miel. Hello, Monique.
Hi, how are you?
I am just in awe of your incredible journey, turning a single product into a multi-million-dollar global hair and skincare brand within just 10 years. I know that there was probably skepticism and lack of interest probably from those wanting to invest. But you know what? You persevered and you were successful. You shared that you had 2 strikes against you. 1, you're Black, 2, you're a woman. But I'm gonna say those were 2 opportunities. Your first $1 million investment in your company. Can you take us through how that happened? What did that journey look like?
Yeah, no, of course. So my first investment was in 2020. And that first investment was what you call like a seed round from like a friends and family or family office. And that was from New Voices, which was founded by Richard Lou Dennis. And they invested $5 million into my company as, our very first round for a very small percentage. Um, and the process was very grueling and, hard because it is very hard to raise funds and raise capital. We were in talks with a different investment group before New Voices had made the initial investment. And we were pretty confident that the previous group that we were in talks with were the ones that were going to be our partners. And that was at a time where we had really needed the investment infusion. We were operating at a loss. We were not profitable. We were not recording expenses the proper way that we should have because we had the wrong people that were operating our books. So I'm saying all that to say, we really needed that help. And that investment group pulled out on us at the very last hour. I had a prior relationship with Richard Lou Dennis from when he was the CEO of Shea Moisture. We had met when he was still running and operating the company. So technically we were still competitors, but we still maintained a very friendly relationship. And so once he was able to exit with Shea Moisture, he created the New Voices Fund. And I was one of the first recipients because of that prior relationship. So I tell people that, relationships are currency and the fortune is in a follow-up. He also acted as a guide to help us, scale the company to the next level to now secure the historic 9-figure investment, which is what we did with Berkshire Partners. We closed in February, and 2 weeks later, the world shut down. So we're like, okay, what do we do now? We just took all this money, and now what do we spend our money on? And I knew that I had to still drive down in marketing because I knew that with the world shutting down, where were people going to be? They were going to be on their phones all day. So I needed to create a plan where we can show up and be in front of our consumers or our mavens every single day. And my whole goal is I'm going to work harder than anyone else in my industry and overserve my community. And that's exactly what I did during COVID. During that COVID, we saw 4x growth, which caused the attraction of private equity firms because they were coming after us. And so, when we were in the hole at that time, we had a CFO that we had brought on. And I remember he said these words to me. He said, the best time to raise money is when you don't need it. And that always stuck with me because I knew how it felt to try to raise money when I really needed it and depended on it. And I don't like that feeling. So I knew that I had to create this blueprint, and I knew that taking on investment from private equity was going to help set me up to eventually sell into a strategic. So when we decided to raise a round for private equity, we had so much leverage, right? And it felt so good to have that leverage. And I always tell entrepreneurs, if you can try to build and bootstrap your company for as long as you can without taking on money and diluting your share, try to do that, which is why we were able to secure 9 figures and still maintain majority ownership of our company. And then within 18 months later, we were able to then sell to Procter & Gamble, one of the biggest companies in the world. And again, We had majority ownership at that time, so we were able to sit down with Procter & Gamble and dictate the terms of what we wanted for our agreement, and that was to continue to operate as a standalone subsidiary independently of P&G. Melvin and I would stay on as CEO and COO. The formulas would not change. We were able to dictate all of that because of the type of leverage that we had. So it was pretty much like the blueprint that I set and I saw, and I took that blueprint and I made it cater to what my dream and what my goal was. And it took that initial 5 million seed investment for me to get there.
Oh, Monique, you said so many elements around success, and you were focused on ensuring that you kept the integrity of your product and being in the driver's seat, and not just being motivated by the money, but making sure that you had the key elements of what was most important to you and your family and to the business that you built. Thank you so much, Monique, for gracing us with your presence and sharing your journey with us, your journey to success. Your story is a testament, a true testament to what is possible with determination and resilience. As the program comes to a close, I will now pass the baton back to our MC, Shanta Collette, as our illustrious judges are now ready to reveal their decisions. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica and Pamela. What a great conversation. We've arrived at the moment, you guys, you've all been waiting for. Our judges will be presenting the honors. First up, Jason Barnett will be presenting our second place grant recipient.
Our second place grant recipient was chosen because of perseverance, tenacity, and a willingness to create a solution for a condition that had bothered and affected her life for so many years. The $12,000 grant recipient for tonight is Shavini Fernando. Congratulations.
Congrats, Shivani. Courtney Couch will now present our first place grant for $50,000.
Our first place grant recipient was chosen because as we champion heart health, we understand the importance of early screenings and interventions to prevent or learn about heart disease. With Anna's electronic stethoscope, aka the DIY heart and lung home screening device, people are able to record their heart sounds, which will later be shared with their doctor. This instrument will revolutionize heart health care and help so many people in rural areas, major cities, and all over the world. Congratulations, Anna.
Well deserved, Anna. And finally, Colby. Would you do the honors and let us know who we're recognizing as the fan favorite for a $5,000 grant?
I would absolutely love to. So fans were given the chance to vote for their favorite candidate over the past 2 weeks. These candidates were all great, but there only could be one fan favorite. And the grant recipient is Chef Ashley Keys.
Well, that's going to do it for us this evening. I hope you're feeling inspired by these amazing change makers to go out and do something good for your health of your community. Before I let you go, I want to offer a very special thank you to Courtney Couch, Jason Barnett, Kobe Takeda, Monique Rodriguez, Pamela Garman-Johnson, and Nancy Brown. Congratulations to the recipients, and thank you to all the candidates for the vital work you are doing in your communities. Keep an eye on your inbox for news about the 2024 EmPowered to Serve Business Accelerator. Thank you and have a good night.